We are live, baby. Conference Championship Sunday preview. I am ecstatic. Some say this is the best weekend in all of football because you have Conference Championship Sunday. You have teams playing at home. It's not at a neutral site location, so teams, the winning fan bases can celebrate with the team as they're on their way to the Super Bowl if the home team wins or if the opposing team travels well. I am ecstatic, guys. I love the divisional round. I think I'm a divisional round guy, but I am as close to as equally as excited for this as we can possibly get. I mean, look, we have NFC beast action. We have Commanders at Eagles in the early game, and then we have Bills Chiefs for the second game. Highly anticipated Bills Chiefs game. I am ecstatic. So I am going to go ahead and just tweet out that we're live, and this is going to be a fun stream, guys. There's no doubt. This is going to be an incredibly fun stream. Good luck on the test there, Kingston. Good luck. Okay, good luck, Kingston. Sounds like you're going to need it. What did I miss? Didn't miss anything. We're just getting started. About to head into a job interview, but I'll be watching after. Everyone leave a like. Good call, Daniel. Appreciate it. Good luck with the job interview. Let me know. Good luck. All right, let's just go ahead and tweet out that we are live for Conference Championship Sunday. Guys, we have a lot to go on here. Malo, appreciate the super chat. Let's go in all caps. That's the type of energy we need. Let's go. Just all caps. Let's go for Conference Championship Sunday. So, we're tweeting this puppy out, and I'm putting all caps. Let's go, and here we go, boys. Here we go, everyone. Sorry, everyone. Not just boys, but everyone. Here we go. All right. We have first game, NFC beast action. We have Commanders Eagles. I don't think anybody would have saw this preview or this NFC championship game matchup from a mile away heading into the season. You say this 9 months ago, you're getting asked the next question to take the next drug test. That is the type of year the Washington Commanders have had. Nobody saw this coming. Commanders finished the year 12-5. They win not one but two playoff games. But I'm going to be honest, I do not particularly like this matchup for the Commanders. Now, I know they beat the Eagles in Week 16, and that was a big win for them. They won 36-33. There's a couple of things that need to be remembered when looking at this matchup for Washington. They lost to Philly 26-18 earlier in the year. Philly had over 430 yards of offense against the Commanders earlier in the year when they played, and they ran for over 220 yards as a team when they played. That was back in Week 11 on Thursday night. And if you guys recall that game, the Commanders, they scored with a minute to left. Zach Ertz had what I would say was, people probably aren't going to like this, but I would say it was one of the most garbage time touchdowns of garbage time. It was 26-10. They scored with like a minute to play, made the score, in my opinion, look a lot prettier than how that game was played. I remember talking to Eagles game after that game. The Commanders at that point dropped to 7-4, and they were not really all that worried about the Commanders at that point. Now, I think that was a little disrespectful to the Commanders team that we've seen play over the past couple of weeks, but this matchup does not fare well for Washington. And in order for Washington to win this game, they are going to have to create turnovers. Not one or two, but probably three. They have to limit the time that Saquon Barkley is on the field. And I know Jalen Hurts at times gets criticism for not throwing for a lot of yards in playoff wins, and there's a lot of people that love to slander Jalen Hurts' good name, which I'm not personally a fan of. I like Jalen Hurts a lot, and I'm not really a fan of the slander that he endures. But if you are going to win this game, you are going to have to be able to slow down the Eagles' offensive line, which is a lot easier said than done. And one thing that I do want to point out is Saquon Barkley had over 1,000 rushing yards this year that were designated on breakaway runs, which is runs that are 15 yards or more. Saquon, for as good as he is a boom or bust runner in a lot of aspects. Not every aspect, of course, because there's plays where he'll break off 9, 10, 11 yards just consecutively, right? But there's a lot of times where you'll see Saquon start the game 13 carries, 41 yards. The next 3 carries, all 3 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown. So it's going to be tough for the Commanders to consistently stop the Eagles for all 4 quarters. And if I am Kellen Moore, what I am doing all game long, especially against this Commanders team, in which, by the way, they've played twice now, and in both games they ran for over 200 yards against the Commanders. You have the link behind you. You have an offensive line that is well over 1,600 pounds of beef, and it's kind of highlighted by the 360-pound guard, Mekhi Becton. I am running the ball until they prove they can stop us repeatedly. I am running the ball, and if I'm Kellen Moore, I kind of hope that A.J. Brown leaves this game with 25 or less receiving yards. Obviously, that's not an A.J. Brown slander, but it's a game plan as to how I would go about this game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, for the Washington Commanders, it's been an incredible year. Like we said, I don't think they match up well, but they themselves had a really good game last week. They had nearly 500 yards of offense. They put up 45 points. If there's any Lions fans that want to be technical and say it was 38 because they had a pick six, credit goes to the Commanders' defense for forcing 5 turnovers and for putting the offense in advantageous situations, truly. And for Mike Sainristil, 2 interceptions. I love Sainristil coming out of Michigan. Credit to the Commanders' defense for playing the way they did last week. But this defense is a lot different of a beast than the Lions down as many players as they were. And one thing that will need to be highlighted within this game, and by the way, I do want to point out something in particular that I don't think is being discussed enough, at least relative to, how publicized this game is. But when they played back in week 16, Jaden Daniels had 5 passing touchdowns in that game. Olamide Zaccheaus had 2 touchdowns, Terry McLaurin had a touchdown, and Luke McCaffrey had 2 receptions and 2 touchdowns in that game. So what I think needs to be noted, or at least remembered in a big way, and what really, really frustrated me when these teams played back in week 11 on Thursday night was Quinyon Mitchell, who's obviously had a tremendous season, obviously a very, very good player. Cliff Kingsbury kept lining him about to the left. And my point is if you are an offensive coordinator, if you are an NFL coach, you have to put your players in advantageous situations. You have to do everything you can to help them out and to maximize their success. So it was really, really frustrating to consistently see. And by the way, you're right. It was Jamison Crowder who had 2 touchdowns. That's on me. That was on me. It was Jamison Crowder. You're right, Matt. Apologies. But you have to do whatever you can to help out your players. And if you're going to be ignorant to Quinyon Mitchell, Quintanamo Bay, and just have him line up to the left every single play and just basically say, hey, Terry, we're not going to help you out. Go figure it out. You're not going to win this game. And somebody just commented about how big is it that Cosme's out. It is very big. Sam Cosme is one of the more underrated guards in football. And underrated, well, not just guards, but all offensive linemen. I mean, there's been a lot of talk recently about Deion Dawkins wanting to get an Offensive Lineman of the Year award, and I don't think Sam Cosme would have won that award, but the point is he's kind of underappreciated or under-recognized relative to how good he is. He tore his ACL last week. I don't want to get into a discussion of how that's going to affect the 2025 Commanders when the biggest game of the century for the Commanders is Sunday. But I worry about that. And it is very big, especially when you have a beast in Jalen Carter waiting there. Jordan Davis, who has been impactful this year, waiting there. And then you have Josh Sweat coming off the edge. I really do think the Eagles are going to win this game. But what I will say is it's going to come down to turnovers, not just in this game, but the Bills game and Chiefs game as well. And I don't know how many times this has happened in playoff history in one weekend. All 4 games last week, all 4 of the losing teams had more yards than the winning team. Detroit, of course, turned the ball over 5 times. They had over 500 yards of offense. They were moving the ball up and down the field. They had a Jameson Williams trick play. Jared Goff threw a pick 6. Jared Goff threw a not great interception to Sainristil at the end of the first half. He also had a fumble. And then the interception at the end of the game. It was not ideal for the Lions. And if you think the Eagles are going to turn the ball over 5 times, it would be ridiculously out of character for that offense. And I like the Commanders. I really do. The keys to stopping the Philadelphia Eagles offense is going to be to continuously mix looks up. You're going to have to be gapped out in the run game. You're going to have to run a lot of single high. You are going to have to put 7 or 8 guys in the box every play. Trust Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Sainristil against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Gap out everywhere. Hope that Saquon Barkley doesn't break one. Hope that he doesn't go 2 yards, 6 yards, 2 yards, 65 yards, and hope for over the course of the game that he does not break one. I think that the Eagles are going to win this game. I only want to know, why didn't we see these Eagles until week 5? Why? This is frustrating. I feel like that's a very Eagles fan. Like, we're in the NFC Championship game. We're favored by a touchdown. Why didn't we see these Eagles until week 5? No, they're a great team. They're a really, really great team. All right, let's see here. Liam Cohen has saved Duval. Appreciate the super chat, Garf, and I am happy for Jags fans. They deserve it. I'm really happy that Trent Baalke is gone for the sake of Jags fans. And Johnny says, yes, absolutely. Curled horns up. Curled horns up. Go Rams. Curled horns up, baby. All right, let's see here. I love when people underestimate us. Hashtag raise hail. Look, I'll say this. I'll say this about this game. I would welcome the Commanders winning. I would welcome being wrong. I think this would be one of the best stories of the past, I'm not going to say ever, but easily the past 10 years if Jaden Daniels took this team from pick 2 to the Super Bowl. I think that this game really does not favor the Commanders at all. It's you especially with Sam Cosmi out now, the pressure could be in Jaden's face early and often, and that is not ideal even for as good of a dual threat player as Jaden is. You don't want pressure in your quarterback's face. So I don't like this matchup for the Commanders. I think the Eagles are going to win. Let's see here. I'll be at the game. That's what's up. Use the Game Time app if you don't have tickets. Promo code analysis, $20 off your first order. Terms apply. The Game Time app, $20 off. Code analysis. Let's see. Who are the Vikings playing this week? Daniel, come on now. And then thank you, Serobi. He said unnecessary roughness. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. That was unnecessary roughness. That was definitely unnecessary roughness. All right. Are we talking? Sirianni is a good coach. I don't know. Did somebody criticize Sirianni by chance? All right. Anyway, we will be live after the Bills-Chiefs game Sunday night. But of course, we're in Championship Sunday, so we have to toss the poll. Let's go ahead and discuss here. Who do you think is winning? Washington or Philadelphia? Like I said, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles to win, but I am very curious as to where you guys stand. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. Helps the stream tremendously. Appreciate everyone being in here. And let's keep it going here. Sam Cosmi sounds like Max Crosby if he was a guard from the Burbs. All right. Topher, a little off topic, but do I think Garrett Nussmeier could develop next year like Jaden did? Not like Jaden, but he's definitely a player I'll be paying attention to for sure. 20th super from Danny. What's up? Let's see here. If the Eagles lose, I will not be heard from. Can't handle the shame. Oh. That's come on, you gotta face the music. Although I get what you're saying. I understand it. I was live after the Vikings loss. It was not fun. All right, so the poll's a lot closer than I thought. Right now it's 59-41 Eagles, but Alex says, kiss me. I'm sure he wanted me to say that out loud, but it's, remember, who do you think will win? Who do you exactly? Good call, War Penguin. It's who do you think will win? I think the Eagles are going to win. All right, let's see here. Why do you think there's an agenda around Hurts? Appreciate the super, and that's from Hurts to be an Eagles fan. So it's a lot of the fact, I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of jealousy. I think it's a lot of, look at what Joe Burrow did this year, 40-plus passing touchdowns. He doesn't have Saquon Barkley. He doesn't have the Eagles defense. He doesn't have Vic Fangio. And there's a lot of jealousy within that because statistically, Eagles fans, at least I would hope, could acknowledge this, that Joe Burrow was a much better player than Jalen Hurts this year. And it's frustrating for other fan bases to see Jalen Hurts. There's a stat. It's something along the lines of Jalen Hurts is 4-0 in playoff games when he throws for less than 155 yards, which is an insane stat to say. Like, 4 playoff wins is a lot to begin with. I don't want to hear like, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes has 16 or however many he has. I don't want to hear that. He is an outlier by far. And if you hear that a quarterback has 4 playoff wins with less than 155 yards, and you're a fan of like the Ravens, for example, who just watched their quarterback throw 41 touchdowns this year, and he only has 3 career playoff wins, you're going to get upset. That's the honest truth. All right. Birds by 10 says Ryan. LFG. Appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat, Ryan. Appreciate it. But if the Commanders beat the Lions, why wouldn't they beat the Eagles? I don't think the Eagles are going to turn the ball over 5 times, and I also worry about the Commanders' defense being able to hold up against the Eagles' ground game. The Eagles ran for over 200 yards, not once, but twice in the regular season. I would take Jalen Hurts in any state over Kenny Pickett, and even in that game, the Eagles still put up 33 points, in which they lost. I don't think they're going to give up 36 points to the Commanders again. And the Commanders also allowed over 200 yards on the ground last week. I don't think any team matches up well against the Eagles ground game. So that's where I would go with that. The Commanders couldn't stop Gibbs. That's a great point. I was really surprised Ben Johnson strayed away from that, but I think the Birds are going to win. And the chat thinks it's pretty close. The chat thinks it's really close, but the Lions were incredibly beat up. That is also a very, very good point. Now we have game, at least what I think is the game of the week, Bills-Chiefs. I'm going to go and end the poll there. We have Bills-Chiefs. This is the 4th time these teams have matched up in the playoffs in this era. Now, there is a couple of things that I want to discuss regarding this game, and I might pull up a couple stats. We were for any members in here that was in the chat. We have a monthly members chat. We pulled up. I figured out. I got really advanced with the technology. I figured out how to actually like stream a couple things while doing this. So the reason I bring that up is because I might pull up a couple of stats individually and show what I'm discussing here within this game. Because they played back in Week 11. The Bills, of course, won that game 30-21. And what I think is important to know about this game, or important to acknowledge, is Josh Allen is not like... He's just not like any other quarterback that the Chiefs are going to play. And obviously Joe Burrow is really good, but Joe Burrow is not the dual threat ability that Josh Allen is. And the last time, the reason that let me go ahead and try and bring this up here, because what I want to do is, actually we'll get to this in a minute, but the last time these teams played, Josh Allen threw 40 passes against the Chiefs back in Week 11. This is per PFF. This is all per PFF. He was 27 of 40, 262 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He threw the ball 27 times within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. Within 10 yards, he threw 18 passes, and then he threw 9 passes behind the line of scrimmage. The reason that I bring this up is, and this is critical to the matchup, is because the Chiefs' defense likes to bank on the fact of, or not on the fact of, but they like to bank on having a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a Tyreek Hill, a player like that when it comes hell or high water, third and long, we're going to try that player on Trent McDuffie. That is what the Chiefs love to bank on. But the Bills' offense is obviously not like that. They are very much whoever ball. It's not unreasonable to think that Dalton Kincaid can have 87 yards last week and he can have 2 yards this week on 1 catch. And that favors the Bills in this game in a big way. And I'll be honest, I do owe Bills Mafia a little bit of an apology after last week. I was very, very much not respectful as to how they won that game, and I should have been, and I do regret that. But the Bills are a team that matches up extremely well against the Chiefs. And I mean extremely well. Because if I am Joe Brady this week, I am doing whatever I can to go away from Chris Jones. If he wants to line up at left end, great, we're going to call it the other way. He wants to line up in the middle, we're going to double team him. We're going to do whatever we can to run the ball away from 95. I want somebody else on that defense. I don't care if it's Nick Bolton. I don't care if it's Leo Chanel. I don't care if it's George Karlaftis. I want somebody else other than 95 to wreck the game. And there's also a couple of questions around the Chiefs' corners, of course, outside of the all-pro Trent McDuffie. So the reason that I bring all of this up is because the Bills, like we said earlier, this was in the midst of their stretch where they were putting up 30-plus points regularly. And within that game against the Chiefs, and this is something that I also expect to happen in this game really quite a bit, is they won the turnover, or not the turnover, did they win the turnover battle? Yes, they technically won the turnover battle, 2-1. Not really referring to that, but they won the time of possession battle 34-26. And if the Bills are going to finally do it and basically avoid the 4-game sweep in the 7-game series between the Chiefs and Bills in this era, they're going to make it 3-1. And if they're going to advance to their first Super Bowl since the 90s, it is going to require, as simple as this is, to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. And the Bills this year have ran the ball and ran the ball and ran the ball. And there was a reason that James Cook had 18 total touchdowns this year, including 16 rushing touchdowns. And when you look at the Bills this year, all in all, they were 9th in rushing attempts, 9th in rushing yards, 1st in rushing touchdowns with 13 on the year, and 11th in yards per carry. And to be able to keep the Chiefs' offense off the field is huge. And that is, without a doubt, the biggest key to victory for the Bills in this game. Let's see here. Become a member for the member lives. Y'all appreciate it, Danny. Appreciate the plug. I'm going to see where the comments are in this one. Watching this is so much better than anything in ESPN. Appreciate it. Appreciate that more than you know. But that's the biggest thing for the Bills, guys. They finished 2nd in points per game this year. They had over 520 points. They did a tremendous job last time they played the Chiefs, and they kept them off the field. Now, what I should also note within this game is, because I want to talk about the Chiefs' offense now. Last time the Chiefs played, the Bills, which, like we said, was back in Week 11, they lost 30 to 21. That was the game where I'm assuming we all remembered. If we don't, Josh Allen had a big touchdown to seal the game for the Bills at the end. The Bills had a 14-point fourth quarter, and Josh's 26-yard run put the nail in the coffin for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes in that game was 23 of 33, 196 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Within that game, Patrick Mahomes was 1 of 4 for 31 yards with an interception on passes thrown 20 or more yards down the field. In unlike Mahomes fashion, I didn't think that he was all that sharp that day. I thought there were several plays. I thought there was a lot of meat left on the bone, if you will. I thought there were a lot of plays that he could have made. And one thing that I think needs to be noted is this is contrary to what people may think. This is not, at least I would be surprised. And this is a credit to both defensive coordinators, by the way. A big credit to both defensive coordinators. I would be surprised if this is anything close to 2021. It is just deep play after deep play. Whether it's Gabe Davis going for 199 yards and 4 touchdowns. Obviously, he's on the Jags now, just using that as a point of reference. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think both teams are going to play a lot of too high. They're going to do what they can to prevent the big play. And they're basically going to have to do what Josh Allen and the Bills did back in Week 11. And that is dink and dunk your way up the field. Not that there's anything wrong with dinking and dunking your way up the field if you are putting up 30 points against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And you're going to have to be patient, and you are going to have to run the ball away from 95. That is the big thing. That is the Bills' game plan. Dink and dunk your way up the field, double team 95, put 4 hands on him every play. If he lines up over the right tackle, guess what? And we have a run called behind Spencer Brown. Guess what? Deion Dawkins, you're going to be the lead blocker now. And like we said, within that game earlier in the year, the Bills ran the ball 31 times. They did not have as much success as they would have liked. They had 31 carries for 104 yards and 3 touchdowns. And even within that game, James Cook only had 9 carries for 20 yards, and Ty Johnson had 5 carries for 18 yards, and Ray Davis had 5 carries for 11 yards. Buffalo is to run the ball, keep 15 off the field. And the other thing within that game from earlier in the year, is Travis Kelce. This is going to be something that's going to change in a big way, by the way. And if you don't think this, I don't know what to tell you, other than it's going to change. Travis Kelce had 2 catches for 8 yards. If you think Travis Kelce in an AFC Championship game on the way to a potential three-peat is only going to get 4 targets in a game, then I have some beachfront property in Nebraska to sell you, because he's going to be a big part in the game. And if the Bills go man coverage, like we saw the Texans do last week at times, Kelce can burn you big time. And we saw it. Kelce's, I would argue, one of his just most signature plays is he does this little like rocker step where he'll go one way and then dart back across the middle, or he'll dart outside. Mahomes hits him, makes the initial man miss, and people, obviously he was never Tyreek Hill's speed, but people, I guess, get comfortable disrespecting players and just think that he's just this slow oaf. He's still 250 pounds. That is not an easy man to bring down. The Chiefs' game plan is honestly going to be pretty similar to the Bills. Neither team, I'd be surprised if there's a play over 40 yards in this game through the air. Now, if somebody breaks a big run, you can't control that. That is what that is. But it's going to be a lot of too high. It's going to be a lot of we're going to prevent the big plays. And honestly, score prediction, I think it's going to be around 24-20. Now, for the ultimate winner, by the way, is I want to put up a poll for this, and I see the super chats. I promise I'll get to them in a minute. I promise. I appreciate everyone being in here. And I promise I'll get to all of them. I'm going to go ahead and toss the poll out here. Buffalo or Kansas City, who do you guys think wins this game? Let's go ahead and put the poll out here. Who do you guys think wins this game? Did the poll go out? Yes, it did. Okay. I'll let it go a minute before I give my vote. And in the meantime, I actually will address the super chats that are in here. All right. Let's go ahead and address them. And then the poll is up, by the way. And like, if you guys are already clicking the poll, why don't you just drop a like? It helps the stream tremendously. Let's hit 100 likes. We're at 60 couple right now. Let's go ahead and hit 100 likes on the stream. Appreciate everyone being in here. All right. Hurts to be an Eagles fan. I don't like the Vrabel hire for the Pats because it's basically bringing back Belichick. Pats fired Mayo and brought in someone with the same philosophy. Disagree on the Mayo part. Kind of agree on the Belichick part. I wasn't the biggest fan of Gerard because I didn't think he was a great in-game head coach. I thought he answered questions in pressers similar to a player, and I wasn't the biggest fan of that. I refer back to this because it's such a glaring example of why I wasn't a fan of Gerard Mayo. There was a game against the Cardinals, and if you've seen any of my content, if you watched any of it, if you've heard me talk about this before, you know exactly where I'm going. But there was a play where they were down in the second half against the Cardinals. It was like week 15. They had third and 2 from the Cardinals 4-yard line. Not third and goal, but 3rd and 2. They ran 2 plays. Neither were to Drake May. Reporter asks after the game, "Hey, Gerard, what did you think about this? Would you have liked to have ran the ball with Drake May?" And he said something to the effect of, "Your words, not mine." Gerard, you're a 40-year-old coach. You've been an NFL coach for years now, not a head coach, but I mean, you have to be better than that. And the next day, it was like a lot of Patriots fans called it Walk It Back Monday, where after the game or the next day, he was like, "No, actually, I didn't mean anything by that. Me and offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, we're cool. We're good." I wasn't a fan of Gerard. I also don't think they improved at really anything over the course of the year. In terms of player development, I would struggle to name what they actually improved with. So that would be that. And I also think Vrabel's a better coach, but that was just where I struggled with that. Ryan, Hurts plans to wear a brace Sunday. How much will his knee injury affect their game plan? Will it be a heavier feed Barkley game? Like and sub. Appreciate it, Ryan. Appreciate the message to like and sub. Appreciate that. So I would argue with the knee brace for Hurts. He's probably not going to have a big 44-yard rushing touchdown this week like he did last week. I would also argue that the Jalen Hurts we saw in the 3rd and 4th quarter last week is not the Jalen Hurts we know, specifically on the safety play. That was not Jalen Hurts that we know. That was not. And I would, regardless of Jalen Hurts, whether he was 100% or barely starting because his knee was hurting that bad, I think this should be a Saquon Barkley game regardless. Run it until they prove they can't stop you. Saquon needs a break. Kenneth Gainwell, go get 2 carries while Saquon's resting. Run the ball till they prove they can stop you. All right. Thoughts on peak? Oh, where's the poll, by the way? 61-39 in favor of the Bills. Guys, here's where I stand on this. I'm going to go end the poll. Appreciate everyone who just sent a super chat or not, well, that too, but appreciate everyone who voted on the poll. Here's where I stand on this. I think a lot of signs point to Buffalo in this game. I really do. But at the end of the day, I'm not betting against a Patrick Mahomes-led team, a Chiefs team that, I think I got to word this here, has had a couple of roughing the passers and unnecessary roughnesses go their way when they need it most. And it's also at Arrowhead. And it's the fact that the Chiefs are also a really, really good team. And the Chiefs have kind of had their number in the postseason. But I think there's a chance, if there is ever a year for the Bills, I mean, the thing is, Buffalo is this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for Buffalo. So I don't want to get into moral victories because it's been a tremendous year for the Bills. But Buffalo matches up extremely well against the Chiefs. And I don't know if, I mean, the fact is the Buffalo will have a better roster at some point, whether it's 25, 26, they'll have a better roster at some point. But that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to get back to the AFC Championship game. I mean, this is Buffalo's first AFC Championship game in 4 years. Not a shot at Buffalo. It's just to show how hard it is to get to the AFC Championship game. And I'm not betting against the Tom Brady of this generation in the postseason at home. That is where I stand on this. I think it's going to be 24-20 Chiefs. Acquisiz says the Bills year was supposed to be last year. Chiefs 24. Same score. I think it's going to be 24-20 Chiefs. In a rebuild year, I think the Bills are better than they were last year, which is crazy. I would agree, Dominic. Got to go to practice. Good luck, AK. Good luck. Be safe. But I think the Chiefs are going to win. Here for the weekly yap. Love it. Love your content. Keep the All Snakes up. Appreciate it, Alex. All right, so 12th man, thoughts on Pete going to Las Vegas. I'll read you word for word what I said because I want to just give some actual context to what I said and then kind of go off that. I tweeted earlier that I like the Pete Carroll for what it is. This organization has quickly become one of the worst in football, and this hire represents what they need in the worst way, stability. I would compare this hire to Washington hiring Ron Rivera a few years ago, who did exactly what he needed to do prior to trading away a few key players in 2023. I was, of course, referring to Chase Young and Montez Sweat for reference, and that was bring stability to a bad franchise. The Raiders are in a pretty bad situation right now, one of the worst in football, I would say. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a running back. They definitely have a tight end. The receiving room is okay. I know Jacoby Meyer just had 1,000 yards, but I like the hire. I think that's exactly what it's going to do, is bring stability to the game, which is what they need. So I like the hire. I really do like the hire. Blinky, appreciate the super chat, and appreciate as always. To the Eagles fans saying, if they win, no one will remember the Commanders, but if the Eagles lose, nobody should let the Eagles forget it. It would be insane. If the Commanders can pull this off, and if they can be the first team in Super Bowl history with a rookie quarterback to... Wait, I'm messing something up here. Because I think the stat is because I had it. First team to go with a rookie quarterback. I was thinking Brock Purdy for a second, but they didn't. And then 2023. But anyway, it would be an all-time season. I mean, I think it already is, because I think this is one of the best rookie seasons ever by a quarterback for Jayden Daniels, and I'm really, really happy for him. But I think the Eagles match up so much better against the Commanders' defense, where I think it's a case of they can run the ball and run the ball and run the ball and have the ball for 37 or 38 minutes time of possession, and there's not a lot the Commanders are going to be able to do about it unless they force multiple turnovers. I think the only way the Commanders win this game is if they force at least 2 turnovers. That's kind of where I stand on that. This week is Slay's last home game, says Daniel. It is tough when your favorite players retire. I think I'm going to have to go through that with Harrison Smith pretty soon, which I'm not looking forward to. But yeah, Slay he's up there. He was drafted back in 2013. So once again, we'll see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, says Brian. KC will win by blocking a field goal. That would be tough. That would be tough to see your season end on that. Daniel, appreciate the super chat. Jayden Daniels has a bright future either way. I agree. And the thing is I don't want to get into this because this is where it can get tricky in terms of projections. Is you talk about, these years that these guys have had, and obviously it's a great year. I'm not saying to not enjoy the year if you're a Commanders fan. That is the last thing I'm saying, is to enjoy every minute. But just because you're going to a conference championship game in your rookie year doesn't mean you're entitled to go next year. Doesn't mean you're entitled to win a Super Bowl the year after. So I agree that it's a bright future. I just don't want to get into they made it this year, so 2025, bets are off, they're going back. That's kind of where I stand on that. All right, Speedy. Oh, appreciate it as always. Last time these two played, the Bills didn't have the right tackle. Dalton Kincaid, Matt Milano, or Keon Coleman, and still won. That's a great point. That is a great point. But I go back to, you're at Arrowhead, you're in Kansas City. Look, I'm with you, Speedy, by the way, and I want to point this out, that I think everything points to the Bills winning. I really do. Matchups favor the Bills. I think the offense, matches up as best as any team could match up against the Chiefs defense. I think the Bills offense is incredible in that regard. I don't know if you're going to have a team that matches up better against the Chiefs than Buffalo. But I go back to when it comes hell or high water, how many times have we sat here and watched the Chiefs just pull the lucky rabbit out of the hat and just win a game that we know they shouldn't? How many times? It's not just once or twice either. Great teams find ways to win games. Buffalo's obviously still a great team. That's just what I go back to. If you have the Bills to win this game, I'm not going to sit here and say, man, you're that's just such a bad take. You're an idiot. No, I mean it's going to go down to the wire. It's a game I can't wait for. I can't wait for it. All right. Do you think the 49ers will be back next year? Yes. Yeah, to a degree. I wouldn't pick them to win the Super Bowl personally. At least I probably won't. But they had a lot of things, just a lot of things, guys, a lot of things this year go wrong. They had Ricky Pearsall. I mean, thankfully he's okay. He's alive and everything. That's obviously not good to begin with. They had several players go down with season-ending injuries. I'm not talking one or two, but several. Brandon Ayuk tore his ACL, and Javon Hargrave tore his triceps. That's two Pro Bowl caliber players right there. Trent Williams, I'm pretty sure. Trent Williams and his wife, like they had a stillborn, and then Charvarius Ward's child unfortunately passed away. I mean, it was just a year from hell, and I think they'll be back next year. I mean, there's just so much that just happened. CMC as well, but yeah, it was just a year from hell for the 49ers. Bills are due, and at some point, Josh Allen has to beat the Chiefs. History will be broken. I really hope the Chiefs lose. I hate the Chiefs. I would imagine, Jaden, that a lot of people feel that way about the Chiefs in the city of Buffalo. I'd imagine a lot of people feel that way. All right. Let's see here. Oh, Sammy, my boy, he's a beast. Who do you want to play quarterback for the Steelers next year? I'd go Justin Fields. I would go Justin. I like Justin Fields a lot. I would go JF1. 13 seconds. There's another point. There's another good one, Bam. I mean, it is... How many times have we sat here and just thought, okay, the Chiefs are done. There's no way. And they win. It doesn't pick any game, whether it's, ironically, like you said, 13 seconds, any of them. I'm betting against Mahomes. That's bold. That is bold. That is very bold. Wide right last year. There you go. And by the way, on the wide right part from last year, I still think the Chiefs would have won. There was like a minute 40 left. They had, I want to say, 2 timeouts. I still think they would have went down and got a field goal to make it 30-27. But that's another good example. It's just, yeah, I'm not betting against the Chiefs when it matters. I'm not. But I do think that that the Bills match up extremely favorably. When a team is at the top like the Chiefs are right now, most people want to see them lose. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm an NFC fan, or my team's in the NFC, so I'm pretty ambivalent to this game in terms of like who I want to win. But you're not wrong with that. Trade Chase and a few others to a team like the Raiders for infinite draft picks and rebuild. Are you talking about the Bengals? No. You don't trade a Jamar Chase away. All right, Fnatic says, I thoroughly believe the Commanders win. Can't wait for Daniels to be a one-season wonder. I don't think he's going to be a one-season wonder, brother. I like Jaden a lot. Chiefs dud? That'd be very anti-Chiefs. That would be very, very anti-Chiefs in terms of how they've played over the past 6-7 years. And what I think is crazy, by the way, what I think is just wild, and I know people get sick of the Chiefs glazing is what they refer to it as. It is not wrong to say Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' worst performance in the playoffs, and this has happened twice, is an AFC Championship game loss in overtime. To sustain that over 7 years, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. All right, Brian, appreciate the super chat. What's Cohen's impact on T-Law next year? BTJ stock is up. Actually, I was working on a video. We're working on draft grade videos, and The first video will be out soon. I'm not going to say when, but it'll be out at some point. And I discussed just how I think Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor are going to... I mean, I briefly mentioned it because it's a draft grade video, so I can't sit here and discuss specific things, but Cohen's impact is going to be a lot. And by the way, I also want to say he's not officially the Jags head coach yet. Not officially. But I like Liam Cohen a lot. And Baker threw for 41 touchdowns this past year. That doesn't all obviously go to Liam Cohen because Baker still had to make the plays, and he was a very, very good quarterback. But look at what the Bucs did. If you're a Jags fan at all on the fence about Liam Cohen, if they hire him, just go watch some Bucs highlights from this year. I like Liam Cohen a lot. My Saints are in the worst situation by far. I would agree with that. The cap is just brutal. It is just brutal. It is terrible. He signed an hour ago. Is it confirmed now? If it is, then I genuinely apologize for that. I apologize for that. I'm just trying to confirm, by the way. From Shefty or Rappaport. Appreciate the super chat. Okay, so they did. You're right. Apologies. You're right. Apologies. I was just making sure because I know last night it was he wasn't returning the Bucs calls and everything and all that. But no, he was hired. That's on me. Apologies. Appreciate the super chat, Garf. Appreciate it. All right. Which new head coach is heading into the best situation? I did this last year, but I think it's... Oh, man. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to end up buying in. I'm telling you now, I'm going to end up buying in. You look at the Jets situation, uncertainty around the quarterback position. You can make a case for Vrabel. You can make a case for Liam Cohen. I really want to make a case for Ben Johnson. Best head coach situation, though, I'm going to say, I'll say Liam Cohen specifically because of the division. The division is not great. The Colts, the Titans have the number one pick for a reason. The Colts they haven't won a playoff game in nearly 7 years. They continue to go with the regime. They also have a question mark with Anthony Richardson. I would say probably Liam Cohen. All right, Blinky, appreciate the super chat. I think Daniels has something that a lot of rookies do not have, which is composure. The Lions game, his pulse didn't go above 75. He's very, very relaxed for being as young as he is. I agree. His composure within the game is unreal. And if anybody wants to talk about, like, you actually have to watch the game to understand it, it's true. Because Jaden Daniels, during games, is, like you said, I mean, it's him and Joe Burrow are just, I don't know if it's LSU thing in the water, but it is, they don't get too high or too low. It's unbelievable. It is. Why are the Jags always late in everything they do? I can't answer that, honestly. I don't know, but I'm glad that they hired Liam Cohen. Speedy says they're a dysfunctional franchise. I wouldn't disagree with that, especially with only having 2 general managers, now 3, since they fired Trent Baalke since 2012 with Dave Caldwell, Trent Baalke, and whoever they hire next. But they are definitely a dysfunctional franchise at times. Aaron Glenn can get talent out of anyone. Best situation low-key. It's a roster that needs good coaching and culture. Glenn is the answer. I don't disagree with what you're saying, by the way. But what scares me about Aaron Glenn's situation is quarterback. That's it. But, no, I do like Aaron Glenn. I like to hire a lot. Nick, hey, FA, what are your thoughts on the Texans firing Bobby Slowick? Not surprised. I'm really not surprised. Texans fans know how frustrating it was. I know there's a lot of people that want to point to Stephon Diggs tearing his ACL, the interior offensive line being a problem. The offensive line coach was also fired, by the way. But there's just a lot of times where I thought I didn't think Slowick was maximizing what he could get out of his players. And ironically, we saw them play pretty solid against the Chargers in the playoffs. But, I mean, you put up 2 points against the Ravens on Christmas Day. That was not that they were putting up 2 points against the Ravens on Christmas Day. And obviously, for that to happen, the defense has to force the points. Not that they were doing that every week, but I think that was just more accurate in terms of how the Texans season just went. I mean, I thought they were pretty underwhelming all year. I'm not surprised by that. All right. Jags stumbling backwards into victory as usual. Is it as usual, though? I mean, they have like one winning season in the past 5 years. But I'm happy for him. I really am happy for him. I like how, okay, so people are actually just finding out that they actually just fired Bobby Slowick. No, confirmed they did fire Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick and the offensive line coach. Yes, they confirmed fired him. Let me be a homer. All right, Garf, I can respect that. I can respect it. No, I mean, I'm happy for Jags fans. I really am. I really am, because they deserve it. I mean, they have went through a lot. Like, I want the Jags being relevant would be nice. And I actually have a little spoiler. I do have, you guys, well, some of you guys know, I've only ever ordered 2 non-Vikings jerseys. One is a Justin Herbert jersey that I've wore on camera before. One is a Brian Thomas jersey, because I'm a huge Brian Thomas fan. And if we're talking about the Jags, I might have to throw it on for the rest of the stream. Would I agree Ladd McConkey is the... Oh, my God. This is a comment here. This is a comment here. Would I agree? I might actually pin this. Would you agree Ladd McConkey is the Antonio Brown of Hunter? I'm going to tweet that, by the way. Dominic, if you follow me, I'm going to tweet that. Somebody... that's a comment right there. Ladd McConkey is the Antonio Brown of Hunter Renfrows. I love that, by the way. I love when people make comps like that. I do. I enjoy like the comps of comps. All right. Is next year's AFC West the most stacked division we've ever seen in terms of head coaches? It's definitely up there. It is definitely up there. I am going to be honest. My memory is not great on the spot in terms of, oh, well, what about 2009 whenever this division had this? It's definitely up there. It is definitely up there for sure, though. Bring him to Pittsburgh, bring him to some more modern offensive concepts, because we're stuck in the 1970s offensive football. What's wrong? You don't like your 2 runs, your shot play, and then a punt? Is that what you're telling me? I can't say I blame you there. Thoughts on Abdul Carter as the best prospect this draft season? I will release my big board and everything as we get closer. And a little spoiler, by the way, one thing that I am ecstatic about. First time. Next week, I am going to the Senior Bowl. There's a lot of, you name any draft content creators next week that are there. I am going to try to hang out with them, talk to them, get a picture with them. Follow me on Twitter if you're not already. Football Analysis. Drop a follow. Trying to get to 10K relatively soon. And you're going to see me tweet a lot of things from Mobile next week. I am ecstatic. First ever Senior Bowl. And to go back to this, I can't wait to provide updates from the Senior Bowl for the draft season. And also, I do think Abdul Carter is the best prospect in this class. Now, we get in a bad habit at times of the generational word. I don't think Abdul Carter's generational. I also did not think that Will Anderson was generational. I did not think Aiden Hutchinson was generational. The only 2 players that I think would apply for generational for pass rusher since, say, Jadeveon Clowney, would be Myles Garrett and Chase Young. That would be it in terms of that loaded word that everybody does not like. But that would be the only pass rushers that I think would be applicable for that word. All right. Okay. Can't wait. Yep, can't wait, Brian. I can't wait either. I plan to, so I'll be at the practice for a couple of days next week, and then I plan to come home Thursday night, arrive back, and go live and just talk ball from the Senior Bowl. Talk notes, talk any interactions that I had story-wise. Can't wait. I really can't wait for it. Where's Chase Young right now? He's a free agent. Or he will be a free agent. Slated to be a free agent. Do I think Travis Hunter is generational? I do, in the sense of there's not a prospect like him. And people love to discredit Travis Hunter where they say, well, he's not a generational receiver. He's not Jamar Chase as a receiver, but it's the fact that he's a good receiver and good corner. I think he's going to be a good NFL corner. I think he has the talent to be a Pro Bowl corner and also catch 30, 35 receptions a year is where I stand on that. If you think Travis Hunter is going to play 2,000 snaps a year at the NFL level, that's not going to be the case. But I think he'll be able to play every snap on defense, pretty much every snap on defense, and then have specific packages on offense. So I like Travis Hunter a lot. A lot. On a scale from 10 to 10, how unbearable will the Jaden Daniels hype be? If he wins on Sunday, it'll be one. I mean, it'll be rightfully a 10 out of 10. To go on the road to Detroit and Philly, rightfully so. All right. Most underrated quarterback in this class. Right now, I think he's a little bit underrated. I think he's going to work his way into the first round, and that is Ole Miss's Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart quite a bit. I think he is a solid player. Now, I don't think he's on the level of any of the guys last year. I want that to be noted. Because whenever you say first round, it's automatically, oh, well, where is he? No, I don't think he's on the level of any of the guys from last year. But I like Jackson Dart a lot. And I think a team's definitely going to talk themselves into Jackson Dart. I think he has moxie. I think he is a really good player. I think he does a really solid job on layering throws. I think he does a really good job in terms of changing velocity. There's balls where he can throw the fastball. There's deep balls where he can just put it in his guy's hands 45 yards downfield. I like Jackson Dart a lot. And again, I don't think he's like a top 2 prospect in the class, not even close. I think he would overall, I'd probably put him at, I don't know, maybe 35 or 40 in this class in terms of overall talent if you go like no positional value, but I think he'll go first round. Kyle McCord, third best quarterback in the class. That's a spicy take. All right. Although I don't agree with it personally because, like I said, I'm a big Jackson Dart guy. But I think Kyle McCord is a solid backup option at the NFL level. This year's draft class loaded with trenches. There's a lot of guys I like in the trenches. There's my 2 guys in this class in the trenches love Josh Connerly from Oregon, and I'm actually going to get to see him next week. I'm going to try to get a picture with him. We'll see if we can on the field. I don't know how that's going to work. Armand Membu from Missouri. Big Armand Membu fan. I love his game. He reminds me a lot of Tyler Smith. Armand Membu is a guy, draft him, figure out if you're going to play him a tackle or guard later. Just simply draft a good football player. All right. Do I think NFL teams will start drafting running backs earlier due to the resurgence of the position this year? Yes, in the sense of if they have the infrastructure right. And I'll tell you what I mean. The Raiders right now need a running back. I would not want them to take Ashton Jeanty at 6 because that roster it's not great. I would rather them draft somebody, I don't know, like Will Johnson, Tetairoa McMillan, just somebody that is more just positional-wise impactful more than Ashton Jeanty. And I know you can definitely make a case for Jeanty over McMillan. He's definitely a better running back prospect than T-Mac is a receiver. But my point is this team needs a lot of help. And unless they just address everything in free agency outside a running back, like if they were to bring in, and I'm just tossing names out here, so don't think I'm predicting, but if they were to address, bring in Stephon Diggs, somehow get T. Higgins, and I'm just naming guys, if they were to bring in just a lot of help, Sam Darnold for a year as your transition guy, you get the point. Then maybe draft him, but I do think, to answer that question, that the running backs will go earlier gradually, but it has to be within context. All right. What are we talking about? Let's see here. Thoughts on Emeka Egbuka comparisons? Man, I like Egbuka quite a bit. He, to me, is just the definition of, I like this term a lot. It's a steady Eddie. My guy Connor Rogers got me hip to this term. Just you know what you're getting. Don't overthink it. He is a good football player. Don't sit here and debate whether a boom or bust guy is that could be maybe a little bit better than him when you already have this level of player in Egbuka. Just take Emeka Egbuka and don't worry about it. He should probably be a 65 to 70 catch a guy from the start, assuming he has the targets. Is the Lions window closed? Absolutely, positively not. No. Keep an eye out for Siobhan Ravel at the Senior Bowl. I'm a big Siobhan Ravel guy as well. I was introduced to Ravel, ironically enough, in college football 25, and he was an animal in an ECU dynasty that I did, and I loved him. And then I saw him play on field, and I went back after I started the dynasty and actually was like, wait, who is this guy? And watched him on tape, liked what I saw. Unfortunately, tore his ACL earlier in the year. I was really, really upset for him. I was really upset for him. Let's see here. How do you think the Raiders season will be under Pete Carroll's head coaching? If you think they're going to go from like 4-13 to 11-6, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. The roster itself is not that good. They're in an absolutely loaded division. But the point is it's the start for a better tomorrow. with the Raiders. So that's why I like the hire, because you have to start somewhere to build a better tomorrow for the Raiders. All right. Falcons, what do you think their draft needs are? For me, the first 3 picks should be pass rushers. You said it. You have to be able to get after the quarterback. What's nice about this class for the Falcons is there's pass rushers in all shapes and sizes, which I like. It's good to have some variety in the class. You can have somebody like Abdul Carter, who's 245. You can have somebody like Nick Scorton, who's 280. They play the same position, obviously different styles. So I think the Falcons, like you hit the head on the nail. Pass rush. And by the way, I'm looking forward to Braylon Trice in year 2. He tore his ACL. He was a 3rd-round pick from Washington this past year. I like Braylon Trice coming out of Washington, so we'll see how that goes. Jalen Walker's a good reference here, by the way. Good comment. Do I think he would be a good pickup? Yes. Absolutely. I think he would be a great pickup for the Falcons. You know why? It's very simple. He's better than what they have now. He's a good football player. Don't overthink it. There's a couple guys in this class where I think they have a very high floor and they fall into the do not overthink it. I think Emeka Egbuka is a perfect example. He's a good football player. Just draft him. And Ashton Jeanty is technically also the same thing, but he's like so elite of a prospect that it's kind of like, yeah, obviously, like everybody knows that. So he definitely applies, but like it's not as, it's a little different than Emeka Egbuka, for example, if that makes sense. Love both players, by the way. One guy to keep an eye on, Jalen Royals. I like him from Utah State. Yep, and then you even said from Utah State. Yep, just a nice wide receiver who hopefully gets to stock up next week. That is one thing that I can't wait for, is I can't wait to watch the one-on-ones. I can't wait to just see how the guys interact every week or every day of practice. I'm looking forward to this. And a little background is just throughout the season, I mean, I'm not looking for sympathy at all, just commenting. I'm very grateful to be able to do what I do for a living. Very grateful to want that to ever be lost. But I mean, I work 7 days a week, so it's nice to be able to, once the off season is here, to just get away for a couple of days while still working towards this and seeing guys in person one-on-one. And I am very much looking forward to the Senior Bowl, my first Senior Bowl. Hopefully I'll make it a yearly thing. And I can't wait to go next week. There's a lot of guys that I have written down that I can't wait to see. And I really can't wait to see Donovan Ezuraku from Boston College. He's awesome. Mason Taylor in the draft, I would be surprised if he's I'd probably say like anywhere from pick 95 to 130, somewhere in there, late day 2, early day 3. Mason Taylor's tight end from LSU. I like this class a lot, by the way. And I'll say this, I want this to be noted within the 2025 class. I think the gap between players, like I'm just like the talent-wise, not picks, but the talent-wise, players 1 through 20 is a lot bigger of a talent gap than I think players like 21 through like 75 are. I think this is a really build depth class. So if you have to trade back 5-6 spots from pick 27 to 35 to get out of the first round, if some team wants to move up, do it. Because the talent level is not that much. It's not that different once you get past the first, I would say probably 15, 20 couple picks. I love this class, though. Love this class. The best position in this class, there's a couple. Running back is, of course, a big one, although it did take a little bit of a hit with Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen going back to school. The pass rush, though, is where this class is. And then the trenches. It also applies to the offensive side as well. All right, mediocre draft compared to last year. Definitely from a top-level talent, yes, you're not going to have your Caleb Williams, your Jaden Daniels, your Drake May, your Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, Joe Alt. But I like this class because it's a depth-building class. So you're not wrong, though. You're not wrong, Topher. But should the Vikings keep Darnold? No, because we have J.J. McCarthy. If we didn't have J.J. McCarthy, yes, definitely. But it's the fact that you already have J.J., so Darnold, thank you for everything. Good luck. I wish you the best, but I would say no. But, guys, that will wrap up today's stream. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please like, please subscribe if you're not already. We're closing in on 180. We have a new video releasing tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. Be there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And 2 games did not make me give up. It's the fact that we have J.J. McCarthy. Like J.J. is cheap. He's not $40 million. That's why. No, so it was more of that we already have J.J. and that would be it. But like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And as always, until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.